New codes typically apply to new construction and major renovations. Buildings constructed after a code takes effect must comply with the new code. Some jurisdictions may require rental properties to meet specific safety and habitability codes regardless of their age. In most cases, sellers are not obligated to bring a property up to code solely because it is being sold. However, some jurisdictions may have specific requirements for disclosures or repairs before a sale can be finalized. Landlords are generally required to maintain rental properties in a habitable condition, which may include meeting certain code requirements. When a home is being sold, the following parties may have responsibilities related to code compliance. Firstly, sellers are generally not required to bring a property up to code, but they may be held liable for any undisclosed defects or safety hazards. Secondly, buyers have a duty to inspect the property and make informed decisions about its condition. They may choose to negotiate for repairs or additional inspections to ensure that the property meets their needs. Thirdly, home inspectors are typically hired to identify potential issues and report on the property's condition. They may note code violations or recommend further evaluation. Fourthly, local authorities, building inspectors, may enforce code requirements during new construction, major renovations, or when there is a complaint about a property. They may issue citations or require repairs. The specific codes that apply to a particular property can vary depending on the jurisdiction and the type of property. Common code requirements include electrical safety, plumbing and sanitation, structural soundness, fire safety, and energy efficiency. When you're dealing with new codes and old properties, keep a few things in mind. Firstly, new construction and major renovations almost always have to comply with the latest codes. This means if you're building a new house or completely remodeling an existing one, you'll need to make sure everything meets the current standards. Secondly, rental properties are sometimes subject to specific safety and habitability codes, no matter how old they are. This is to ensure that tenants have a safe place to live, so landlords might need to make updates to meet these requirements. Thirdly, when it comes to selling a property, things get a bit more nuanced. In most places, sellers aren't legally obligated to bring the property up to code just because they're selling it. However, some jurisdictions might have rules about disclosing certain issues or making repairs before the sale can go through. Think of it this way: it is always better to be upfront about any known problems. Fourthly, let's talk about who's responsible for code compliance when a home is sold. Generally, sellers aren't required to fix everything, but they could be held liable if they don't disclose known defects or safety hazards. Buyers, on the other hand, have a responsibility to inspect the property and make their own decisions about its condition. They can negotiate for repairs or get additional inspections to make sure the property meets their needs. Fifthly, home inspectors play a crucial role in this process. They are hired to find potential problems and report on the property's condition, and they might point out code violations or suggest further evaluations. Sixthly, local authorities, specifically building inspectors, have the power to enforce code requirements during new construction, renovations, or if someone files a complaint about a property. They can issue warnings or demand that repairs be made. Finally, remember that the specific codes that apply can vary based on where you are and the type of property. Common code requirements cover things like electrical safety, plumbing, structural integrity, fire safety, and energy efficiency. So it's always a good idea to check with your local building department to get the exact details for your situation. Here is a more detailed look. When new codes are introduced, understanding their applicability to older properties can be complex. Generally, new codes primarily target new construction and significant renovations. This means any building erected after the code's enactment must adhere to the latest standards. However, the situation becomes less clear-cut with existing structures. Rental properties often fall under specific safety and habitability codes regardless of their age. These codes ensure that rental units provide a safe living environment, potentially requiring landlords to update their properties to meet these standards. When a property is sold, the seller isn't usually obligated to bring the entire building up to the current code. But depending on the local jurisdiction, There might be mandates for specific disclosures or essential repairs before the transaction is finalized. This ensures transparency and protects the buyer from unforeseen issues. Several parties play a role in ensuring code compliance during a sale. Sellers are generally not compelled to renovate to meet current codes, yet they could be held accountable for any undisclosed defects or safety hazards. Buyers bear the responsibility to thoroughly inspect the property and make informed decisions about its state. They might negotiate for necessary repairs or seek additional inspections to confirm that the property aligns with their expectations. Home inspectors are crucial in identifying potential problems and reporting on the property's condition, noting any code violations or suggesting further assessments. Local authorities, including building inspectors, enforce code requirements during new constructions, major renovations, or in response to complaints. They have the power to issue citations or mandate repairs to ensure compliance. The particular codes that apply hinge on the property type and the jurisdiction. Commonly, these codes cover electrical safety, plumbing and sanitation, structural integrity, fire safety, and energy efficiency. Each of these aspects ensures the safety and efficiency of the building. Let's delve into some practical examples. Consider a homeowner selling a house built in 1950. The current electrical code may require arc fault circuit interrupters of size in bedrooms, a feature not present in the original construction. Unless required by local ordinance, the seller isn't obligated to install a size simply to sell the house. However, they must disclose any known electrical hazards. Conversely, a landlord renting out an apartment in the same building might be required to install smoke detectors and ensure the plumbing meets current safety standards, regardless of the building's age. This ensures the safety of the tenants. In a major renovation scenario, such as adding a new wing to a building, the new construction must comply fully with current codes. This includes energy efficiency standards, insulation requirements, and structural regulations. The existing part of the building might not need to be upgraded unless the renovation triggers specific requirements under the local codes. It's also important to consider the role of insurance companies. They may require certain upgrades to meet current codes as a condition of providing coverage, especially after significant damage or loss. This can include upgrading electrical systems, plumbing, or structural components to mitigate future risks. From a practical standpoint, here are key steps to take. Firstly, sellers should conduct a thorough inspection of their property and disclose any known issues. This transparency can prevent legal complications and foster trust with potential buyers. Secondly, buyers should hire a qualified home inspector to assess the property's condition. The inspector can identify potential code violations and recommend further evaluations. Thirdly, landlords should regularly review local codes and regulations to ensure their properties meet current safety and habitability standards. This proactive approach can prevent costly fines and ensure tenant safety. Fourthly, anyone planning a renovation should consult with local building officials to understand the applicable codes and obtain necessary permits. This ensures the project complies with regulations and avoids potential issues down the line. Fifthly, it is also wise to keep meticulous records of any inspections, repairs, and upgrades. These records can be valuable in demonstrating compliance and addressing any disputes. In summary, the applicability of new codes to older properties depends on several factors, including the type of property, the nature of any renovations, and the local jurisdiction. While sellers aren't always required to bring a property up to code, they must disclose any known defect. Buyers should conduct thorough inspections, and landlords must maintain habitable conditions. Local authorities play a crucial role in enforcing these codes and ensuring public safety. Code compliance is not just a legal requirement, it's a fundamental aspect of ensuring safe and habitable living conditions. Understanding these regulations protects both property owners and occupants, contributing to a safer community. Remember to consult local resources and professionals to ensure full compliance with applicable codes. Navigating the intricacies of building codes and property regulations can be daunting, but understanding the core principles will help ensure that properties are safe, compliant, and well maintained.